Hello, it's the Clay Golem here. We are back with our live stream where we are continuing to build Phandelver and below. So this is just a recap that this is the introductory module. It's not the Shattered Obelisk version because we want to keep it relatively short and sweet. So we are basically, carrying on building. So where did we get to? Let's bring up Foundry. Hopefully you can all see that fine without any dramas. And hopefully the audio is okay. If you are in the chat, it'd be really useful if you just let me know that the audio is okay. Apologies for my screen switching there. I just need to make sure I got chat up for when you start making comments. I did have had fiddle with the audio in the previous live stream. Once it goes over onto YouTube, the actual audio, was really, really quiet, which was a bit pants. All right. So what are we actually doing? So we've approaching finishing this particular area, which is the Goblin Cave or the Cragmore hideout. We've only got area 7 and 8 to go, so not a huge amount left to do on this one. So we obviously got the module up here, and we can look at area 7. That's really, really tiny on your screens for you. Let's make sure we zoom in. Words are hard, right? Okay. We don't need to do an awful lot here. It tells us about that. Well, last time we put in the extra tiles and the sound effects, if you recall. So we've kind of got that ready to go. All we need to know here really is the fact that there are 3 goblins in here. So just mention about the tiles. So we've got these additional tiles, if you can kind of see those, that change as they release the dam stuff. We move the rocks and things like that, which cascades the water. So we get that different water cascade going down here. And we also got some audios on there as well, which you're not going to be able to hear unless I select a token. And now you can. Which is all good. I want to turn that one off. So these are ones that I've got on, just as a reminder, that's the trickling rather than the rushing water. So we've just got a couple of different things on there. Right. So number 7, what we just saw is the fact that there are 3 goblins in there. So that's really quite easy. We can go to our monsters folder and we can just drag out our 3 goblins and stick them in here. And it doesn't really matter where we put them, to be honest. They can be pretty much anywhere. Looks like there's a little pot over here in the corner or something. So I'm just going to shove one over there for whatever reason. Okay. But these guys are essentially on guard, and they are guarding the entrance to this area here, which is the next one we need to look at. So if we just pop back to here, this is Clark's Cave. So I'm not sure how well you can read that on screen. Again, let's see if I can make that even bigger for you. All right, so this talks about the Saxon crates are loaded in here. We've got Clark the Bugbear. So we've got Need a Bugbear, we've got Pet Wolf, and we've got 2 goblins. Well, the goblins are going to be easy, aren't they? Because we've already got those. Rather than dragging it off, let me just put that down. We're going to put 2 goblins out here that are essentially serving Clark, I think, his bodyguards perhaps, and we're going to put the wolf down. Let's just have a look at this map. Are there sensible places to put this stuff? I think the wolf can just be settled here, that's fine, but we do need a bugbear. All right, so let's find a bugbear. Hi guys who've just joined the chat, or just joined the live stream, thank you for joining, do appreciate it. Yeah, just drop something in the chat. Make sure it's working, because you know I'm an incompetent buffoon. So it's always useful to have somebody just kind of like, yeah, it's all good, mate. Carry on. All right, so monster manual here. I need to find a bugbear, don't I? Now, am I going to find that straight under bugbear? Because remember, they've changed the way that some of these things work. So yeah, bugbear is under B for bugbear, which is good. Now, we've got different types of bugbear here. We've got stalkers, we've got warriors. I'm just checking things like CR3 for that. Bugbear warrior is a CR1. Now, this is testing. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Oh, I don't know how I survive without you lot. So Bugbear Warrior is a CR1. Now, bearing in mind this is for first level adventurers, this is kind of their biggest sort of boss fight that they're going to have. So I think we definitely don't want to go anything more powerful than a CR1. So again, if I just go back to my actors, go to my monster folders, I can drag him straight over there. And there we go. We've got our Bugbear Warrior. Now, this just isn't any old bugbear, is it? It's Clarg. So I'm going to rename this Clarg. In fact, actually, I'm going to call him King Clarg the Bugbear. Now, that's great, and that's all fine and everything. When I drag his token out, so I'm just going to save that. When I drag his token out, it's going to pop his token on there. Now, I like to, for named things especially, a double right clicked, by the way, in case you're not aware of that. Name displayed, I always either have on for owner, or I have when hovered by owner. So I'm going to go with hovered by owner for this instance. It just means when I hover over it, the name pops up so I don't forget who people are. Because, you know, I'm an idiot. But it says Bugbear Warrior. Why does it say Bugbear Warrior? We changed him to say Clarg, right? So if I go back into here, I can do the dots at the top and I can go to prototype token. Now I can change it on the token I've just put on the thing, but every time I drop this token out, it will revert back to the master token here, which says Bugbear Warrior. So I'm going to change this to say Clarg the Bugbear. There we go. So he's going to be Clarg the Bugbear. If I save that, I know there are other ways to do it, but I'm just showing you the default way. Now when I drag him out, it doesn't have the hover on thing because I've taken a new token. So let's put hovered by owner on again. And there we go, Clarg the Bugbear. And when he moves around, that's fine. But I don't have his name on all the time, only when I'm hovering over it. So we're going to stick Clarg over there. In fact, I'm going to move his wolf a little bit closer as well because that's essentially his pet. Easy peasy. So we've got his mangy pet is actually called Ripper. So perhaps we ought to rename his pet to Ripper as well. Now I'm not going to re-drag that out. I'm just going to change that to say Ripper. And of course I am going to make sure on the appearance. No, not through here. I'm going to, yeah, where is it? On the name, there we go. Hovered by owner. Now I don't want hovered by everybody because I don't want other people just hovering over it and going, oh, apparently his name is Ripper. All right, so we can slap him in there, and again, Clarg will say things like, you know, Game Ripper. So I need to remember what his name is, so I'm doing it with them as well. Don't care about those, they're just goblins. You can call them all sorts of horrendous, horrific, and inappropriate names. Depending on your game, you can have your bugbear as abusive as you like. All right, so we've got fire pit, hot coals in the center. We did sounds and lights for that previously. We know about the chimney, so that is that's this bit over here. We don't need to do anything with that. Supplies, we've got about talking about the supplies and stuff. And then we've got developments, which just tells us what happens with regard to the combat. But this is an important bit for us. Treasure. All right, so if they return supplies, blah, 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 they'll get a reward. But in addition to those, we've got a treasure chest containing a whole bunch of coins and things. Now, if I was using mods, this is exactly the thing that I use item piles for, and I would dump all the treasure there. But we haven't got any mods. We're not using any mods because we're doing this the hard way. It's not the hard way. We're doing it the core way. Let's go with that. All right. So where's his treasure chest? It is here. Now, at some point, the party might open that treasure chest. So I'm going to go to my tiles, and I'm going to go to my tile browser. I just need to navigate back to Phandelver into my Phandelver packs and go to my scenes. And I need to load a new scene. Not from there, thank you very much. I need to do it from my that one. There is an open chest. Forgotten Adventures have provided an open chest one here. So let's drag that out. There we go. Go away. and we've now got this tile. So can you see that that fits nicely over there? And again, you really don't have to do this. You're going to lock it. Remember we talked about that last time, about locking them to make sure that I don't accidentally drag it all over the place. It won't let me do it, but I can still hide it, etc. So when they first see it, it's going to be a closed chest. When they open it, I can just reveal that tile and then it will look like the chest is open. So from their point of view, it's like, oh, that's cool. Really, really not needed in any way, shape or form. Okay, so what was the treasure? Because I didn't actually get as far as what the treasure was really. I just mentioned coins. It contains 600 copper pieces, 110 silver pieces, and 2 potions of healing. So we need some potions of healing ready to hand to our players. Now, the money's easy. You can just tell them and they can just add it to their sheet. For the items themselves, like potions of healing, we don't want, they won't have access to it, in fact. So we don't want them wandering around trying to get that. Let's go to the Dungeon Master's Guide and go to Equipment. And I've already opened the folder for it. So I found the potions of healing within the Dungeon Master's Guide. On the right hand side, I'm on this little suitcase icon, which is the items. If you can see that, it's quite small. And I can create an item or I can create a folder. All I need to do is drag this over here and this item is here ready to go. Do I just want all of the items that they're going to pick up throughout the adventure just kind of like listed down that? Same with the scenes. I've got a part 1 goblin arrows. So I'm going to create a folder called part 1 goblin arrows. And that way any treasure that they find during that part of the adventure is all going to be nice and neatly in one place. So I can just drag that and dump that in that folder. It's now in that folder hidden away. But I can just drag that out straight onto the character sheet of whomever is taking it, which is cool. All right. So what else was in here? A jade statue of a frog with tiny golden orbs for eyes. Ugh, right. It's small enough to fit in a pocket or a pouch. So we need a treasure item. That is not going to be a standard item. So if we have a look in the Dungeon Master's Guide, if we look in equipment and things, don't want potions and stuff, don't want consumables, we've got treasure. And there's things like art objects and stuff in here. That's interesting. There's a missing image for that. We want one that's worth 40 gold. We haven't got one in here, and we certainly haven't got one as a little frog statue. So what do? We can drag one of these over, and we can edit it if we want to. But for the purposes of this, let's make one from scratch. So I'm going to go to Create Item, and now I can choose what type of item. This is loot. Okay, so I'm going to choose, we're going to create some loot, and it's going to give me a window. Now, I just want to make sure I've got the thing up in the other screen so that I've got a bit of description for it. Of course, I've got it massively zoomed in on the other screen now. So it is a jade statuette of a frog with tiny orbs, tiny golden orbs for eyes. So I'm going to drop that into the description. Obviously, I don't want it like that. I'm going to clear the formatting and obviously add a capitalization in because I've pasted it directly. So that's all I need to do for description for this. I am going to change the name of this to Jade Frog. And here I can put how much it weighs and how much it's worth. Now this is worth 40 gold. So I can just click that and say that's worth 40 gold. Now the slightly annoying thing, of course, is I don't have an image for it. And looking through core data, I'm not sure if there is going to be one. Let's look at creatures. Let's look at amphibians. Is there happen to be... Oh, look, there's some frogs there that we could use. I'm going to nick that one. And I'm going to use that as its icon. All right, just for expedience and to save time so that we're not messing around for too long on stream. We now have this Jade Frog treasure. I just need to drop it into the Goblin Arrows folder. All right, so we've got a bit of treasure there now, but we can just hand the money out whenever we want. All right, is there anything else we need to know in here? What's next? experience points, off to Phandelver, job done. But this scene's done. Okay, now I know it's taking what it took most of last session to do this with walls and everything else, but honestly each of these scenes is less than an hour if I'm not messing around and if I wasn't talking to you guys, because that does actually take up quite a lot of time. When we go to Fandolin, I've got basically, if I scroll down, I've basically got this map here. Okay, so this map of Fandolin, although the player's one that doesn't have things written on. But there aren't maps of the different places in town from Forgotten Adventures. There are some back alleys and things like that for the Shattered Obelisk version, but not for what we need here. So I'm not going to waste time just kind of like messing around with this. I am going to put the map scene on just with the plain map itself. But I suspect I'm going to go away and find for some of the really important things. If I make this a bit bigger. Some of these buildings are quite important. Barthen's Provisions, the Stonehill Inn, the Town Master's Hall. These are probably quite important. The Town Square with the Shrine of Luck. They're more than likely to go there. The Lion Shield, Costa, etc. And possibly the Sleeping Giant. And, of course, the Manor. If you know the module, you'll know why I said of course. So there's a number of things there that I don't have maps for that I can either make and use Dungeon Draft to do, which I probably will do, unless I can find a decent map that I like that I'm allowed to use without too much drama. Now, bearing in mind, again, I can't share this module as I'm creating it because I'm using Forgotten Adventures versions of the maps and I'm not allowed to share their maps. Rather, I'm not allowed to redistribute their maps. It's fine to show you on screen here, but I can't redistribute. So that's absolutely fine. All right. So I need to go back to my scenes. Excuse me. I'm going to close that. What is the second part of the adventure actually called? Because I didn't look at that. It is part 2. It's called Fandolin. That's easy, isn't it? Let's create a new folder. If I can type part 2 Fandolin. Fandolin. Thank you very much. So we've got a new folder for any scenes that go in there. We're going to create a new scene in here. We're going to call it Fandolin map. My typing is terrible. All right, so show in navigation. Now, do I want the party to be able to see the map at any time and pop back to it? I'm going to say yes. I am. So I'm going to leave that actually in navigation for once. I don't normally do that, but this time I absolutely am. I need my background image. I need to go to my user data. I'm going to go to my modules because this is where I'm going to save my copy of the map. I want to go into scenes and I'm going to choose file. Now, I don't want the ones from Cragmore Hideout, but if I come out here, very conveniently, I already have my Fandolin map down here. So if I grab that, it's going to warn me because I'm saving it in a mod folder. The reason why it warns, because if I update the mod, I mean, I'm making the mod, but if I update the mod, then I would lose that. All right, select file. Got that in. All good. We should be able to hop over. One thing I need to do, look, I've still got my blinking red grid on here. So before we do that, let me just go into Cragmore Hideout, into the settings here. And I don't turn the grid off. I just make it transparent. So the grid's gone. There we go. That looks much nicer, doesn't it? Much, much better. All right. Let's jump to the Fandolin map. So here we are, Fandolin map. Easy peasy, ready to go. Now, it does have squares on it already because of the grid, but the actual map itself doesn't, which is fine. And you can see this version's got no labels on it. We don't have to do an awful lot here. I'm going to go to grid, and I'm going to turn down the grid, which is fine. I'm going to go to lighting. I don't need to have fog exploration and token vision on. I'm just going to have this globally illuminated so the players can see the whole map the whole time. Okay, it's not going to take them long to orient around the town. I'm certainly not going to do walls and stuff. I don't need to put anything like weather and stuff like that in at all. That's done. Right. Something I did want to address, though, and this is probably not the best map to do it on. Let me go back to this one. Is I was asked in the comments recently about this padding space around the outside. What's it for? And it's a really good question. What you can do as the DM, just so that you know, is you can have turn the ghost thing off. You can have monsters ready on standby over here, ready to drop onto the map when you need them. That's really good. You can't go outside of this. It won't let me drag outside of that. I can go right to the edge, but I can't go beyond. So you can use it for that. You don't need to use it at all. You can turn that padding right down. And I'll show you where that padding is in the settings here. Excuse me. It's got this percentage padding. So you can turn that right down if you want to, whatever's going to work for you. And you can resize that. So that's much smaller now. For the DM, what you can use this for is for stuff that's not in the module. So for key things, reminders to yourself. I'm just going to put that padding up a bit. So what if I want to put something over here that is going to remind me? I'm actually going to put it on this side because I'm going to make a note about unique over here. So if I go to the drawing tools and I select my text one, I can draw this over here. Players can't see this because it's outside of their playing area. But I can come and put some text in here. Yimik. I always call him Yamik, which is not what the module says, but there we go. So he speaks like Yoda, but in a higher pitched voice. So that just is, I'm going to slap that in there. You can see that's massively big box for that. I can, of course, I'll come back to it in a moment. I can, of course, make the font size much bigger. So it's easier to see. I can change the size of this, whatever I need to do, and just fit that in there as a note to myself. I can change the background, make it a solid color, and I can make it a, I don't know, I can make it red for specific things. Update that. There we go. I've got a more red background, but I can make that stand out more if I want to. So you can color code these as little warnings to yourselves, details to remember. How does an NPC talk, and stuff like that. You know, I'm not going to do the voice for you. But that's a really good use of that padding, is DM notes, characters ready to go, whatever it might be that you've got there. Emergency backup information, emergency backup monsters. That way you're not having to go through menus, you're not having to dig out the Dungeon Master's Guide, and you know, or rather the Monster Manual, go, oh blimey, I suddenly need this because I want to stretch the players, this combat was too easy. You can have those things on the side there. But yeah, colour it anything you like. If you remember, I had it horrific. Was it the warehouse? I had it a horrific colour. I changed it because it was driving me nuts. All right. So we've got the Fandolin map now. So the question is what to do next? Because that was it. That scene's done. Really, really simple. We could do... let's do the Red Brand Hideout as we are still within here. So when we look at the module again, which I've zoomed in even more for myself, we've got the Stonehill, Barthen's Provisions, the Orchard, Lion Shield, Costa, the Farm, Sleeping Giant, blah, 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 blah. But the next actual section of anything happening on the left here is the Red Brand Ruffians and the actual hideout itself. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to go, not to there, I'm going to go back to my scenes. I am just going to make sure that in my module here I'm on the right page, because I'm not. Oh, yep, it is on here as well. Brilliant. Okay, good. Because I'm going to need that, ain't I? All right, so we're going to create ourselves a new scene. And, of course, it is going to be called the Red Brand Hideout. Brilliant. And we're going to need our map, of course. So once again, am I going to have showing navigation? No, I am not for this one. Now, they don't necessarily know this is the Red Brand Hideout when they first go here. They will find out very, very quickly. But this is based under the manor here. So I'm going to call it under... if I can type it, Trezenda Manor. There we go. So when the players are there, it's just going to say that they're under the manor rather than giving away too much too early for them, because that would be poo, wouldn't it? I've also just managed to close something I shouldn't, which was a bit rubbish of me. So bear with me 2 seconds. There we go. All right. So we're going to have that. We need our background image. So once again, I'm going to go into here. I'm in my scenes folder. I'm putting all my scene stuff into one kind of big folder because there's just not that many in this version of it. So I'm not going to waste, you know, loads of time setting up loads of different folders. Woo, look, we've got loads of the little bits here. So lots of added bits that we can put over the top just like we did. But I want this. Now I'm going to rename this slightly. Remember, this is Forgotten Adventures map, so it's got their names on it. I'm just getting rid of the bits I don't need. So I'm going to import that one. And I'm going to select that. And then we're going to bring that in. So jump over to the red Brand Hideout. Easy peasy. Here it is. Lovely. So important things I need to do first. I mean, you don't have to do them in this order, but what I do in my order is bring it in. I always check just to make sure it hasn't brought in the map in a weird, you know, a weird skewed, stretched manner or anything. It's very rare it does that, but it depends on the map. I've had it a few times. I'm going to put my grid in and I'm going to turn it up so nice and red so it's easy to see. And then I'm going to be having a look to go, well, does this make sense? That's a 10-foot wide door and these are 10-foot wide stairs. That's a bit much, isn't it? So each one of these squares, how many pixels have I got in it? So it's perfectly gridded. It's just the wrong size. If I make that 200 and save changes, it's going to ask me if I'm sure. Now each of these is a 10-foot by, sorry, each of these is 5 foot. So it's a 5-foot wide doorway. That makes an awful lot more sense when it comes to, you know, scaling these things. Rather, this bed is, you know, over 5 foot long, as you might expect, but it's certainly not going to be, you know, nearly 20 foot long. That would be quite ridiculous. And again, because the maps are made to scale, which is really easy, that's kind of job done. All right, what else do I need to do in my settings? I'm going to go to lighting, token vision, yes. Fog exploration, yes. And I want global illumination. Global illumination, remember, by having that on, it means that we can use the night and day things. But also, if there's no light source, it will be dark. And it should be dark in here because it's underground. And any ambience. So again, this is about scene playlists. I don't tend to use them because playing music like that can add latency. But there we go. And we're indoors, so I don't need any weather effects. Save changes. Lovely. Right, we're ready to go. Question is, what do we do first? Now, I would always suggest just get your walls in. So yeah, watch me do walls. I'm going to click on the snap to vertices, which means this will now snap to these, which is going to be pretty much perfect. But look at the way this map is drawn. If I draw that there, the players can't actually see the graphics, the walls around here, because they're going to be blocked from sight. They're only going to see that corridor. So if I turn that off, I can actually bring these in a bit. And they're going to be able to see that wall. They're not going to be able to move through it, but they're going to be able to see it. And that's probably a bit of a nicer experience for them, right? So I am going to do that instead. And I'm just holding down Control. You know this by now, to be able to draw these all out. If you don't know this by now, don't forget you can go back and watch the first of these videos in this series, where we really do go through the basics of doing this. You know, to a point of, well, if you've never used, didn't want to do that, did I? If you've never used Foundry, then this is absolutely, that first video is going to walk you through the real basics. But we're starting to speed up a bit now because, you know, we know how to do that stuff, right? Right. It scrolls a bit quick if I go to the edge there, but that's fine. So this is giving a nicer experience for my players. And what I prefer about, what I like about this map, over the last time that I built this for a different purpose, and one of the reasons why I wanted to rebuild it, is these maps are significantly nicer. What's nice about them, as I'll come back and show you that in a minute. Tunnel. What's significantly nice about this has lamps and stuff already in the map, which is quite nice. I haven't got to go around and add additional maps in. Now, for those of you who know the module, you're going to immediately go, well, hang on a minute, you've got a problem here. This landing here, this bit at the top, we come onto here, we go down some steps, across a landing, down some steps to this floor, which is lower. You can walk under this landing to come up here. At the moment, the players can't do that. This is blocking the players. So they walk under here, that's not going to work for them. That is going to be a problem. We'll solve that in a bit. Let's get the walls finished. Right. Now, because I already know what's going to happen here, I'm going to put... Whoops. I'm going to put that in. Oh, my mouse clicking is terrible. I'm going to put that in. Move it. Just get out of the way. The whole thing. Right. Want that on there. This is where I need click to vertices, and I didn't have them. I'm putting that wall in separate. There's a reason. I'll come back to it. It's just my knowledge of the module, which means I can predict certain things that will be a pain later if I don't do it now. Because this is a secret door down here. So I've got a choice of not putting the wall in at all and drawing in the secret door, or I could edit the wall that's here. Let's edit the wall that's here just for a change. So this is a wall. Does it go in both directions? Yes. Does it block movement? Yes. It blocks light, sound, sight, etc. Door type, we can make it a secret door. Now, it's a stone wall here. It's going to be closed. We can add a sound to it. So stone makes sense, right? That makes sense. So we're going to do that. And we talked in the last video about animation types, but we've got a wall there. So, I mean, we could do, if I, let's do it. Let's do one. Let's do it a swing. And if I scroll down, it's going to ask us for textures for those. Let's see if there is a decent one. I think it was in Canvas Doors. Whoever it was who told me that, thank you very much. I can't remember who it was. Let's find a stone looking one if we can. That one looks reasonable. We sort of want it to fit with what we've got already on screen if we can. I'm not seeing them. Not seeing a perfect one for that. We could use this. There we go. And then we can update that. Job done. So if I go in as a token. Now is it going the right way? Probably not. I would also argue my door is not quite hinged where I need it to be. My door is slightly unhinged, a bit like me. That's going to make a difference. Right, so swing and an open direction. I'm going to reverse that. So that's going to swing in. Probably what would be better is the fact to get this to ascend. But I'm not sure how that will look considering we've already got to draw a wall in. I think that looks pretty cool, actually. I think that will do very nicely indeed. Right, walls. We do have a door here, so I am going to draw to the edge of that door frame there and there. And we're going to just drop a normal door in. And then just drag that over there. Now, I'm not going to do swing doors on all of these maps. I've done it for that one. Then the reason why is because the map's got the doors drawn on it. So it doesn't really make sense. That's not going to be locked either. All right. So before we go too far with walls, is there anything we need to know about this? What do we do about the fact that this is higher than that? We could put in some invisible walls to stop players from immediately jumping off that edge. Yeah, they run in and they go, oh, I can just cross the room before you've had a chance to explain it to them. So in that case, I find invisible walls are really useful because it guides their path. It doesn't mean that if they say, I'm going to jump over, you go, yeah, brilliant, no problem, make a roll or whatever. And then you as the DM can, you know, move their token as they jump down. So it just stops them from running off the edge. They should go around that path. We're going to have the same problem with them trying to pass under this bit. Now there's an invisible wall there. We could take that invisible wall out. It doesn't help with that one. So what are we going to do? What we could do, I don't know what that voice was. What we could do is we could shorten this. I've got snapping on. We could shorten this. Normal wall. Okay, and now we've got this as an invisible wall that stops them going that way. But better than that, we could effectively turn this into a secret door, if you like. So that would stop them being able to walk through it, because like this is an invisible wall at the moment. But what we could do is we could say, well, look, if we said it was a door, right? If we make it a secret door, the players won't see it. No sound, no animation on it. That's fine. So that way, the players won't know. They can't walk north of there. But if they're going around that way, we can just do that and they can walk through. Okay? So we could absolutely do that. And that might be how I choose to handle this in this particular instance. Just going to make it a secret door to stop them wandering through. And then once they go under there, I can just click and open them. Nice and easy. But yeah, that will absolutely work. It's not brilliant. It really isn't. Bring on the multi-layered parts of Foundry that are on their way. That will make a difference there. Okay, well, what about this cistern as well? We could put a wall around here, couldn't we, just to make sure that they don't fall in? I'm not going to bother with that, to be honest. You know, they can see that that's full of water. If they step into it, well, that's up to them. Okie dokie. Right, let's carry on doing these walls. And once again, I am look. Actually, look, the map's not quite perfect, is it? In fact, it's better up here because these vertices actually show us the wall better. That's actually quite handy. And we can do that. That's fine. I won't do that. That was going to look weird. Let's move that in slightly. So actually thinking about it, just arguing with myself, because I do that a lot, is I'm not convinced that the map is quite exactly how we want it. No, I think it's all right. I think it's okay. All right, let's just slide that up slightly like that. That's all good. We got double doors here, so let's put in a door there and put in a separate door there. So these are two different doors now. And we can check on the module whether they're locked and stuff like that. And you decide what works for you. I tend to go with way too fast. I tend to go with putting all the doors in where it looks like doors should be. Blimey, it's very zoomy today. Yeah, I go through with putting the doors in where they should be, and then I check things like whether they're locked and stuff in the module afterwards. I just find it doesn't break the flow of building quite so much. You do you. Whatever works for you, whatever method you've got that works for you, however you want to do it, it's fine. It doesn't matter. There is no right or wrong way to do it. There's only the way that works and the way that doesn't, right? Okay, let's bring that to there. We zoom up here. See, here again, we're dead on those vertices. That works really quite nicely all the way down to there. And, of course, we need this one here as well. There we go. Lovely. Right. Door from here to here. I know for a fact that this one is locked. So we're going to make that locked. And put that in there, and I'm also going to give it a sound, and this is going to be a metal sliding metal light. That will do. So that's a locked door, that one there. All right, let's finish these walls, yeah? Okay, it's all the way over here. Lovely jubbly. I want to make sure they're not wonky, because there's nothing annoys me more. Nothing annoys me more. Could you use a tile? Use a tile down there to trigger the door open. If I had Monk's active tile triggers, Jason, then 100% that's what I would be doing. And that's exactly why I seriously miss Monk's active tile triggers at the moment. Is yeah, you can do all sorts of things like that, because we're doing this mods free, which drives me bonkers because I've got really comfortable with my mods, and then I voluntarily said I'm not doing any. But yeah, absolutely, that would be a brilliant way of doing that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not core Foundry, and you think, well, hang on a minute, we've got regions and things like that, and the region stuff doesn't quite go far enough. And I would love to see, as much as I don't want to put Monk out of business, not out of business, you know what I mean. I would love to see some of those things like Monk stuff just become core, because it's so useful, and I dare say it will happen. It's about priorities and about what they want to do. We are slowly kind of seeing various mods becoming redundant because things are happening in Foundry itself, which is brilliant because it means we get a smoother experience. It becomes core function, which means it tends to work slightly more reliably, and that is not a criticism of any of the modders, because they do fantastic work. But you know, some things that they have to kind of fudge to get to work properly because Foundry doesn't do it. A prime example is Ripper's levels. It's really, really good, but he's forcing Foundry to do stuff that Foundry doesn't want to do. Be lovely if he didn't have to, and that's the way it's going. You know, so I'm really excited for that on that basis, that it will make levels and things like that part of the base. Now, I'm not saying that means that that's going to completely make Ripper's module redundant, because there's a good chance it won't. It will do some of the functions, but Ripper's mod does a lot of stuff. His level mod does an awful lot, especially when you integrate things like his Fog of War and stuff like that. You know, his other mods that complement it. You know, it suddenly becomes quite a big deal. And I suspect, like regions, it will go, yeah, regions are great, but they are limited on initial setup. Right, while I'm talking, I'm just scanning around to see what I've missed, because I know I've missed loads of stuff. I didn't want to do that. Thank you. Pop that down there. Now, we've got a couple of secret doors here. Oh, dear. I can't click for the life of me. Now, I happen to know, because, again, I've run this module more than once. I've run it quite a few times. We've got another secret door down here. So I'm just going to pop that in right there. Oh, don't do that. That line's wonky. That annoys me. Will the players really notice? Probably not so much. Thoughts on Phandelver and below, as in for a playable module, do you mean? As in, is it a good module? Was that kind of what you're thinking about, Whackable? Whackable Paddy. That's an amazing name. Yeah, is that what you're referring to? Like for general, for new players, stuff like that? Is that kind of what you're asking? Because I'm more than happy to give my opinion, but it's just like anybody, you know, anybody on the internet especially. It's like opinions. What's the phrase? Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one, but that doesn't mean I'm interested in yours. Whoops. You know, you mean as an adventure? I think, yeah, it's okay. It needs changing depending. It's very basic and it's very linear, which means it's very good for new players, and perhaps more to the point, it's good for new DMs. So if you've never DM'd before and it's your first time DMing, it's a nice adventure to do that with. It's kind of classic. It's got, you know, all of the elements. It's got some social elements in it. It's got plenty of combat, you know, classic adventure stuff. The kind of stuff that will bore players that have played a lot of D&D, because they just go, oh, not this again. It's just, you know, yet another kind of just, you know, linear module. But for new players and new DMs, I think it's really good. It does need modifying. I did a video quite a while ago talking about the big bad evil guy in this, which is the drow, and his motivations are just that it doesn't really talk about why the heck he's doing anything. So it kind of lacks depth, and I think that is a problem, especially for new DMs, kind of going, well, why are they doing this? Why is that there? So I would, if I was running, and I have done, if I was running it again, and I will run it again, I absolutely would be putting in. Sorry, I'm just doing these cages here. So I'm going to use invisible walls for these cage doors, because I'm going to describe it and make sure they can't go through, and I'm going to put a door in for the cage door. Not like that though. Oh my life, what's going on? It's because I'm trying to talk at the same time. Because this is a cage door, I want them to be able to see through it. I want to block movement, but it needs to be able to not block light, not block sound, not block sight. But it is a door, and it's going to be locked, so we can update that. It doesn't necessarily show the colour particularly well, because it's the same as the invisible walls. And I need to do exactly the same down here. If you didn't know, you can do this, and you can go, oh, I'm going to copy. I've selected far too many walls. I'm going to copy those, Control C, and I'm going to Control V. I don't want to move that one. Just those ones, thank you. And then I could slide these in and go, do you know what? It's the same thing. So I've got that door there as well. Close, lock that. So that's a really nice, easy way to copy walls and stuff. But yeah, if you're going to run this adventure, I would seriously read through it all, like you should do anyway, and then think, well, when they start asking awkward questions, you need some motivations about stuff. Is my grid always red? It's only for my prep work. Yes, Igla. I have it read for my prep work, partly because of the videos. It's easier for you guys to see where things are, but it means I can make sure my scaling's right and things like that. And as soon as I'm done, I just whack it right down. It's gone. So yeah, for building, I do have it on just because it helps me coordinate, judge distances and stuff like that. So yeah, purely for prep work, buddy. All right, now I think I've got all the walls in. Again, I will read the module again and just check I haven't missed any secret doors. I'm fairly sure I have not. That's all good. But like the previous one, we've got some of those additional tiles we can throw in. So let's have a quick look at some of those tiles. We are running out of time because it does whiz through really, really fast. Let's go to Phandelver, packs, go into my scenes, and of course I want to choose some of these. Now look, we've got a whole bunch of them. Whole bunch of them here. Again, let's make they are as big as they get. So I want broken bridge. I'm going to have bridge 2. I'm going to just take. Can I do the whole lot in one go? Can't do the whole lot in one go. That's fine. All right, let's bring that one in. Let's bring that one in. And yes, it's complaining again because I'm putting them into a mod folder. We mentioned that earlier, of course. Yeah, shush. I appreciate the warning, but I know what I nearly said I know what I'm doing, and that was that's quite a bold statement from me. Hey, Pickle Bandit. Another awesome name. All right. Open chest. I think that's where I got to. Trying to look at two things at once. I mean, I can barely talk and do stuff at once. I don't want another copy of the map. Don't do that. What's this? This is a satchel. I'm not sure exactly where that goes. So bringing that in. And it's just easier to bring all of them in at the same time and then dump them out. Now, again, what I need to be careful of is because obviously I've just dumping all of these in one folder rather than by map. Some of these are relevant to other maps, so I might get a bit crowded. I might want to split them out. No, I don't live stream the actual games, Pickle Bandit, for a couple of reasons. I have had conversations with my current player base about doing that, and their answer was, we absolutely don't want to do that. They don't want those recorded. So, obviously, 100% have to respect their wishes. So, no, I don't. Basically, that's the main reason why. It might be nice to get a group together at some point that is specifically for live streaming stuff, like Phandelver or things like that, on the basis of helping DMs get started. But I'm building this for start playing, so running games for people who've never played D&D before, to help them get going, so DMing for them, and I certainly wouldn't do that as a live stream. Jason, I just finished a game that streamed Phandelver. Oh, as in, were you a player in that, Jason? And they streamed it? Because if so, drop a link, mate. And drop a link in the chat if you can. If not, then send it to me if you can elsewhere. Oh, you played in it. That's awesome. Yeah, if I mean, you know, you obviously were okay with people watching you do it. So yeah, if you want to send that over, pop it in the chat. That'd be awesome. I'm sure people would like to see that. Right, we've got these coffins and things. So they start closed, but the lids come off. So that's what these are for. So again, I'm just hiding the originals. I've lost track of which one's which. That one's clearly there. Lock it, hide it, ready to go. That one's clearly there. Lock it, hide it, ready to go. So when the players are looking at it, obviously they look closed and things like that. But there we go. So yeah, Pickle Bandit. Jason may well be able to give you a link to the game that they were in, which is pretty cool if you want to go and watch and see what happens with that. That'd be awesome. What's this for? Ah, look. Oh, look, there's me wondering. This is what happens when you don't prep properly. This is how Forgotten Adventures have decided to deal with this bit. Once you come down, they've got this tile instead to show that they can walk under there and put the actual door in. So that is pretty awesome. So if I just pop that on there at the moment and go back to our walls, they have got the fact that that is not a wall, and the fact that that is a door. In fact, actually, I made mine doors, didn't I? Yeah, I made mine doors. So that's kind of how they decided to deal with that. That's pretty cool, the fact that they've got that as an image on there. But we've still got players up the top who are going to be walking over this first. I might have to have a think about how I want to do that. I am going to use this tile, though, for when they're down the bottom. It makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to lock that in place and hide it. What else have we got down here? What's these ones for? I'm assuming it's for... Oh, yes, it's the skeletons that aren't in the sarcophagi. That's going to go there. We're going to lock that and we're going to hide that. And of course, we can bring in, when we get to the monsters part, bring in the monsters, etc. Right, what have I missed so far? I've got some treasure chests and things like that. I'm not 100% sure where they go off the top of my head. I've got my broken bridges in and those things. What's that for? Is that this table being overturned? Looks like it, doesn't it? And that looks like that table being... Yeah, look, if we look at this table, it's got coins, it's got a bottle on it and things like that. When we look at this one here, it's all been smashed up. So that's pretty cool. So if there's a fight in there, you can turn the tables over and stuff like that. And again, you don't have to use this extra layer, of course. You don't have to do that. I just think that's pretty cool with the fact that they've done it already and they've given us that stuff. Again, if I was using... do you have the Ripper's level module? I do, Igla, but for this series, because this is aimed at like people new to Foundry, it's possibly the first time they've built an adventure and stuff. It's one of the reasons why we're choosing Phandelver, because it's relatively short, and we're doing 0 mods for this, because... You know, anybody starting Foundry, you've got to kind of get used to using Foundry. We will probably introduce some mods as we go along a bit later on and go, right, let's look at a mod, go back, how that can impact our maps and things like that. But at the moment, no, we're going modless. But yeah, and I'm missing the mods that I normally use. All right, so we put those tables and things in. What else have we got? We got, what's this? Oh, the pit trap, of course. There is a pit trap right in the middle here, and for those of you who've been around for a while, you will have seen that I created a pit trap for this here, but they've given us a nice one ready to go, which is really lovely. We can put that in there, and again, if I was using Monk's active tile triggers, then I would be using that Monk's active tile triggers to say they step on it, it's going to call for rolls and do all of that and automate it for me, because I'm lazy. But nope, as the DM, I will be needing saying, oh, as you do this, you know, the floor begins to give way, give me an athletics or an acrobatics check, and then revealing the pit trap with the pretty pictures. Is this V12? This is V13. Yes, this is V13 because, again, you know, aiming at new DMs and stuff, the chances are that they are going to have started their Foundry journey if they started relatively recently in version 13. And it also gives me that opportunity to get around the fact that the half the mods that I normally use aren't ready for V13 yet, although they're ticking along very, very nicely. We are getting there. Right, I've got a couple of others here which are treasure chests and things like that. I'm not 100% sure where they go, so I'm going to not bring those in yet. I can bring those in later. Right, so what have we got? We have got all of our doors, including our locked doors here, our secret doors. We've got our slightly weird door situation down here all sorted. Everything in here is ready to go. We are short on time, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at lights. So we did this in the last video, quite straightforward. We're just going to draw our lights. We're going to say, right, well, it's a lantern. It's going to be bright for 10 and then out to 20. So that's going to light this particular, you know, pretty well, isn't it? 10 and then 20-foot radius when you've got other lanterns in as well. So let's give it a color because we don't want it just to be bright white. We're going to give it a slightly orangey kind of tint to it. There we go. And because it's a lantern, we are going to give it a torch flicker, although I'm going to slow that down slightly because a lantern burns with a steadier flame than a candle would in a breeze, for example. So we're going to put that there, and once again, it's not where I need it to be, so holding shift I can drop that right there. Now once I've got one in, I can hover over it, Control C, and then I can just Control V to drop in the same light somewhere else. Now, it doesn't mean that these lanterns are going to be on everywhere all through this place all the time, but I tend to put them on, check I'm happy with their location and everything, and then I can go round and turn off the ones that wouldn't be on. That is a torch sconce without a torch in it. We've got a lantern here, so we can put that one on there. That lights that area. We haven't got one here. I mean, we could always add our own ones on. Of course we can. I'm just doing the default ones. And maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll show you how to add on your extra little graphics and things. We certainly will in at least one of these videos. Haven't got that stuff prepped nice and easy to find, so I don't want to waste time trying to do that now. But yeah, just some of the Forgotten Adventures assets we can just drop in. Now, is there another lantern in here? Because this one doesn't light up the room very well. I can't see another one. That's all right. That will do. It's fine. We can put some candles on the table and things like that. We've got another one down here. We can slap that in. All right. Any others I've missed? I don't think there's any in the canyon. Any in these corridors here? No, there aren't. None in these corridors here either, or in this secret corridor down here. That's all good. None in here at all. We've got the torch sconce in there. We've got nothing in there. Right. So that's kind of done. What I do want to do, probably the last thing now, is I'm going to put an extra one in here, but I'm going to edit this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it animate quicker. And I'm going to change the color slightly and make it a little bit more red, I think, rather than whatever that is. That's way too red, isn't it? There we go. We'll do it like that. We made it a bit more flickery. If I have it over there, right? So I'm going to stick that over that sconce, but I'm definitely going to turn that one off. So if the reason I do that is if a player comes along and says, "Oh, well, there's already a sconce on the thing. I'll put my torch in it." That's easy. I can just boom. There we go. Your torch is in there. Nice and easy to do. So are there any other torch sconces that they might just pop their torch in? If they throw it on the floor, that's a different problem. But at least I've got a torch to reference. I can grab that one and do it. I think I've just found out where one of those other tiles goes because there's a treasure chest there. Let's have a quick another look at that. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? Might be that one. Yep, it's that one. I'm going to get rid of that one. So again, we're going to hide it. unlock it so I don't accidentally move it around, and then we can open and close that chest to reveal the insides. I was on the hunt for sconces, wasn't I? Torch sconce. I don't think there was. No, that's fine. And I don't think there are any in here either. This is interesting. I'm not sure where that goes. Because the last time I used this, the map that I used, that didn't go anywhere. So I will check the adventure. I think, I wonder if it's part of the, it might be part of the Phandelver and the Shattered Obelisk version. That leads somewhere else. I will investigate that, and if that looks like that would be an interesting addition to include, that goes outside, does it, Jason? Oh yes, of course. That's the secret way in and out, isn't it? You're absolutely right. Duh, brain. Yes, I remember now. Thank you. I'm not very bright. It's from the original. Yeah, the kid shows you the way. Yes, yes. My party never, ever question the kid. And they never find it. They always come in through the main thing. But you're right. Yes, that's the secret way in and out. All right. We are spot on what is, for me, 8 o'clock British summertime, which means we're at the end of our stream. So what did we do in today? We finished off Cragmore Hideout. Just putting in the last couple of creatures and things like that. We slapped up the Phandelver, the Fandolin map, which was really, really easy. And then we've just built the whole of the Red Brand Hideout. We've done all the walls, all the lights. No, I've not put any sounds in, but we don't have any campfires on yet, so there's no real sounds we need. We've put in all those extra tiles and everything else. It is ready for us to slap in the monsters. Bosh. So in an hour, we have, I mean, if we hadn't have done those first few bits at the beginning, slapping the creatures in here, if we're pulling them straight for the monster manual, it would have taken an hour to build this. And if I wasn't talking to you lot and getting distracted by the chat, which is a brilliant distraction, by the way, it's not criticism, not remotely, it would have been under an hour to do this. Now, bearing in mind, the players, this could be an entire session. It could be 2-3 hours or more in here, depending on your party. If you've got the murder hobos who just charge on through everything, you know, you got the fights and everything else, it could be all done in one session. If you've got them being a lot more cautious and doing more role play and engaging and having conversations with the NPCs and the goblins and everything else, or the red brands in this case, it could be a lot longer than that. But it's not bad, is it? You know, because I mean, my rule of thumb as a DM is an hour of prep time for each hour of gaming, and I think that tends to be how it averages out. And building the Foundry bit is only a very small part of the prep. It's reading the module, it's deciding on voices for those of you who choose to use voices. It's working out the plot line. It's deciding what happens if they do this, because, like, you know, they would always will do things that will just throw you. Having backup plans and stuff like that. So that's not bad, is it? Now, who else about the grid? I think it was Igla. Because we've got all this, while I haven't put the tokens on, you know, I absolutely could turn that grid off now, which makes it look a much nicer, much more pleasing to look at this point without that horrible grid all over it. But I am going to call this one to a close now. Thank you ever so much, guys, for joining me. And if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, I hope the audio is better than it was in the last one. I hope this comes through better without deafening you when an ad comes on, which I've got no control over the volume of those. But I really appreciate your support from all of you guys here and the viewers. Blimey, tripping over myself. When you do it live, you haven't got a chance to redo stuff. All right, thank you for watching. Take care, everybody, and yeah, I'll see you all, the ones of you who can make it. I'll see you next week as we will populate this with some people and put out our nasty gribbly creatures and stuff like that. Thanks again. Take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that stuff if you haven't already. And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.